Hello everybody, this is just Tim from Spoken Purpose. I'm making a video today to present my blog, Conscious Friend Theory. I wrote the theory on my experience with God and how I made him my friend ever since I was a kid, so it helped me with my state of mind and how I dealt with life's issues within myself. So I basically studied how his character is and how it affected me in a way where I was able to apply his character to my life. So I studied psychology. I read a bit about it. I put together this theory for other people to be able to motivate themselves to get to know God and be able to put their life into perspective where they can be able to get their situations in the perspective where they can handle it better. So this is a blog that I put together for everybody to read and understand on how you have to think about God for him to be able to present himself to you. You have to put in effort to make a relationship. So this is the God Conscious Friend Theory. According to a 2004 study by the University of Washington and University of Oregon, psychologists, by age 7, 65% of children have had an imaginary companion at some point, creating and sustaining an imaginary friend is a sophisticated cognitive skill. By building the skill of elaboration, keeping up with another story, building with that character's needs to survive, applying self-accountability, of keeping up with time in a story, applying how imaginary friends would act, seeing as he, the creator, provide a friendship with the insights. We are subconsciously taught the way to preserve ourselves by the creator sustaining an emotional thought, sending a message to the heart that is safe, making basically you feel safer. Well, as a kid, I felt more safe with God as him being my imaginary friend, being able to put my life in perspective. According to Kimberly Eckert, a registered psychologist in Calgary, children often create playmates just to engage in imaginative play, the way another child might play with action figures, but sometimes they do so when bored or lonely. An imaginary friend can also be used as a form of self-soothing during a big transition, such as adjusting to a new home or sibling. It is a way for children to practice fledging social skills in an environment where they're in control, giving the chance to apply thought experiments using their imagination. And the study of the imagination is thought to be sustained to understand that things are in your control, understanding where, who, and what we are. In the aspect of who we are, we will take a look at neurotransmitters to endogenous chemicals that enable transmission endogenous chemicals that enable neurotransmissions playing a major role in shaping everyday life functions. The neurotransmitter is defined as a chemical message that carries boost and balance signals between neurons and nerve cells and other cells in the body. These chemical messages can affect a wide variety of both physical and psychological functions, including heart rate, sleep-inducing melatonin is a hormone that regulates sleep-wake cycles, appetite, mood, and fear. About 10 thousand neurons die every day, but since we start out with between 10 and 100 billion, we only lose about 2% over our lifetime. Information comes into the neuron through the dendrites from other neurons. It then continues to the cell body, which is the main part of the neuron, which contains the nucleus and maintains the life-sustaining functions of the neuron. The soma processes information and then passes it along the axon. At the end of the axon are bubble-like structures called terminal buttons that pass the information on the gland's muscles or other neurons. The process or set of rules to be followed in calculations or problem-solving operations contains self-preservation with sustaining the thought appropriate for action to place. Applying that you are the master of your decisions aside from those neurotransmitters which play a significant role in our mental health. Neurotransmitters have been studied quite a bit in relations to psychology and human behavior. What we have found is several neurotransmitters play a role in the way we behave, learn, and the way we feel and sleep. Imagination can begin with the idea of vision, which begins with light passing through the cornea in the lens, which combines to produce a clear image of the visual world on a sheet of photoreceptors called the retina, a layer at the back of the eyeball containing cells that are sensitive to light and that trigger nerve impulses that pass via the optic nerve to the brain, where a visual image is formed. Basically, we form images of our life in our head by we imagine our life. Basically, in my experience, I imagined my life with God as my best friend, and I imagined his character, and I applied his structure to my character, which helped me change the way I thought and the way I proceeded to make my decisions in my life. So it helped me guide my path on his will, basically, and it helped me grow as a person. And seeing how I grew in his will, it helped me elaborate heaven within myself. Either I was thinking hellish thoughts or I was thinking heavenly thoughts, but I would have to compare it to something, and I found it more stimulating to compare it to God's character, because I feel like he was perfect and he is perfect, and I wanted to be a better person. So structuring my character in his will helped me form my being and who I am, and being able to elaborate to unity, and seeing how he placed me here with the purpose to help people see unity as he sees unity. It helped me help others, because when you preach to yourself, you help motivate others, because when you motivate others, it helps motivate yourself. If it's a cycle, it helps you feel whole, it helps you grow, it helps you feel worthy, it helps you see grace how it's supposed to be. And seeing that he gave me the grace to be able to imagine earth as heaven and heaven as earth, it showed me that we're one, and us being connected. I noticed that it changed my life in a big way, where when I had my experience at 27, it showed me that God was sitting next to me, and all the times that I was imagining him in my life, he actually was there. And knowing that he was there, it gave me a sense of relief. It gave me a sense of happiness and peace, and gave me confidence to move forward and be able to advocate for people who deal with mental illness. And as I deal with anxiety and depression, it helped me put my life into perspective where I can handle it better. And being able to handle it better, I can give the tools to other people where they can handle their depression a bit better, seeing how depression is a big epidemic in our society, as well as anxiety and suicide. I've dealt with suicide a lot in my life, and it's not, obviously not a good feeling, but it makes you feel like you're sitting in a dark hole. And seeing as God is light, it gave me a better perspective, or a better view of what was actually going on with me. And you have to deal with your issues in the right way. You have to put them in the light so you can be able to construct your life in a way where it doesn't hinder you from becoming who you really are. And you are really a great person. You're really a courageous person. You're a really insightful person once you dig inside yourself and be able to dig into deep subjects without it affecting who you really are. And 1 in 5 adults experience mental illness in a given year, and 6.9% of adults had at least one major depressive episode in the past year, and 18.1% of adults experience anxiety disorders such as post-traumatic stress disorders. And the consequences of mental illness is the cost. Serious mental illness costs America $193.2 billion in lost earnings per year. Suicide is the 10th leading cause of death, ages 10 to 24. And then mental illness is a big deal that we have yet to really find a solution for, and I've been advocating for it for about 3 years now, putting perspective of how God sees our mental state of mind, and comparing ours with his, and seeing how we're able to see things on both perspectives of how we handle situations. It gave us a view of what depletes and what preserves, and we should be more focused on what preserves, because the purpose is preserving who we are, and preserving basically our species. And having a lack of wisdom or a lack of education to handle our mental state of mind, it hinders us from actually building the world that we're looking and desire to have. So, I've been putting a campaign together, Preserve the Post campaign, which utilizes our resources to better our home in which we live, showcasing our resources through the elaboration of our mental state of mind. Is a way to present our epidemic and put the stats out there so we can understand that you're not alone on dealing with mental illness, and you shouldn't be ashamed of it. And we should educate ourselves a bit more on how we can put solutions together to help people come out of whatever situation or mental illness or mental circumstances that they're in. We need to build more resources, as well as some solutions that I've noticed that worked is getting treatment, managing your mental state of mind, applying self-accountability, getting motivating yourself, being consciously aware, taking pride in your pulsation, being able to build yourself up. And the way I've been speaking to the world is basically how I've how I motivate myself. How I motivate myself is how I apply myself to God, and putting his perspective on mine, it helps me eliminate things that are actually harming me instead of helping me. So you have to see your circumstances in a way where you can shift them. You have to be able to learn how to shift your thoughts to the right thoughts that are preserving you. It's hard for people to shift their thoughts because they hold on to things that they think they need, which is actually harming them. And the things that are harming us, we have a hard time having the conversation of trauma. Trauma is not a thing. Whatever traumatized you is not a thing, an easy thing for people to talk about. But once you talk about it more, it helps you heal. And when you basically what motivates you can also motivate others, and that's how you start the healing process. But being closed off, you're not really going through the process of healing, and sometimes it makes people bitter, or it kind of defeats the purpose of going through the healing process, because you're adding more on to your mental illness by adding things that are negative, and you have to be able to pinpoint that it is negative and be honest with yourself and open up so people can see how they can get out of the situation that they're in, because it may not be the same story, but it can be a similar it can be a similar solution that I can use, or a similar tool that I can use to get out of that situation. So I hope the blogs I write are basically on the conscious mind and how God got me out of my situation by dealing with my conscious thinking and my conscious mind. But I was open enough to explore how he can shift my thoughts where I can help the world come out of uh, their circumstance, and basically depleting thoughts that are of poverty by healing, creating, and prospering from the resources and tools that you've used to get out of your situation, are the tools that I've used to get out of mine. And I've been practicing and putting my message out there to help other people see that there is a way out, and basically making basically guiding people to an open door where it starts a conversation of why we have so much suicide and so much famine and so much lack of being able to communicate with each other on this subject. Not many people are open to it because they feel the shame, but God wiped away the shame for us to have open conversations. But we can't have judgment or prejudgment to people because we grew up a certain way and we have a certain image of them type of people. But we all have a chance to be able to live a life abundantly and happily, and the purpose of life was to fall in love with yourself. And once you fall in love with yourself, you more easier to shift to the things that preserved you. So I hope the blogs that I've written and the messages I've sent out, the videos and the book I'm writing, and my advocacy helps people find their way out to a better life, basically. And I'm building this campaign in the hopes of it helps people find love within themselves. You really, really have to fall in love with yourself. It's very important that you learn how to take care of yourself, because after you finish elaborating what preserves you, you be able to put your own campaign together to help others, and you can pinpoint the areas that we're lacking at as society, as well as lacking individually. So I am actually really excited about what I've been doing and what I've been creating, and I hope that it reaches somebody, and I'm pretty sure that I've reached a lot of people in the past 3 years as I've been elaborating with God as He sits with me. And the way He sits with me, I've been noticing I've had questions on how time moves and how time is time is equivalent to how I perceive it, making time causality when I've been trying to figure out what influences time, basically. And it's been quite an adventure on how I've been expressing myself, dealing with my own anxiety, and basically putting vlogs of my experience. Um, Basically showing myself and opening up more. I've never been a person who's been talkative, so it's not easy for me. So it's I'm trying to basically show you how I've gotten my elaborative skills through God, and how I've changed my life's troubles into lessons, putting forth His word as my points of where I grew consciously. And that's how I pushed myself forward, by putting pin marks in what He taught me, and to never go back to the way I used to think, but put a pin mark in the way He shifted me. So I'm gonna put the links to my blogs below, and I hope that it helps you guys see the conscious mind a bit better, and the experiences I've had, and hopefully it will help you study the mind better. And I will put the stats that I've been really looking at. It's really mind-blowing on how many people commit suicide aside from finding help that they need, because not being open closes a lot of people off, and when they close off by themselves, they're sitting in the dark. So we have to be the light that shines, so people can see that there is hope. So I hope you have a good day. This is Spoken Purpose, and I'm just Tim, and I hope to see you later.